I talked about the systemized religion of Confucianism and Taoism. Now let's take a look at the how these Confucian and Taoist thought were kind of built into a ritual complex. So these systematic thought in the Han Dynasty, a basic belief is that the human world and the universe and the natural world are kind of interconnected. They were all interconnected under this kind of the system of basic elements. The world was believed to be composed of five basic elements: the earth, the water, wood, fire, and metal. These are the five elements. And everything, no matter it's social, biological, natural, or moral, they can be, everything can be assigned an element. For example, in terms of cosmology, the center is associated with Earth. It is also assigned a characteristic color that is yellow. The north, for example, north is associated with water and assigned with, associated with the season of winter as well. And it's also symbolized by the black turtle. That's something that I mentioned, so I'm not going to mention the symbolic animal anymore. So the West, associated with autumn and with the color white, for example. And it also kind of represent a certain kind of activity, rituality, and some kind of governance functionality. For example, West associated with punishment, military authority, and East with the civil authority, celebration, etc. and etc. So there are a lot of interesting detail, and the list can go on and on. These are not everything, so the list can go on. For example, our five sensing organs are also assigned with an element and thus mysteriously connected with a color and with a direction. For example, our heart is associated with south, and thus mysteriously it is also associated with summer, with fire, and the liver associated with wood, element of wood, and so it is connected with spring and also with blue color, etc. So the idea here is using the concept of the five element, the whole cosmos is kind of interconnected. And that interconnectedness, on the surface aspect can be applied to architecture with decoration. For example, the eastern slope can be decorated with tile with a blue dragon. But on the more kind of a profound level, it could involve the functionality and spatial concept of architecture. You know, another belief that has something to do with architecture is the belief in, you know, heaven is round and then the earth is square. So heaven and earth is the supreme yang and yin. So the heaven is yang and earth is yin. And yin and yang is also, it's another concept like the 5 elements to make a connection between everything, among everything. You know, for example, the sun is heaven, the moon is, the sun is yang, and the moon is yin. You know, the male, female is that kind of yin and yang relationship as well. So the idea here is to try to make connection instead of division. I think that's the basic concept of this kind of yin and yang and 5 element. A building type that somehow sum up these major concepts is the building called the Mingtang. So Mingtang is an architectural type from the Zhou dynasty, and it was believed to be the building for the son of heaven. So in another word, it's not like any ruler can build a Mingtang, only the son of heaven can build and maintain a Mingtang. So the very title of son of heaven also illustrate the idea of the Chinese concept about universe. So on one hand, we have heaven where the God live, and on the other hand, we have earth where the human world exists. And making the connection between heaven and earth is the son of heaven. The son of heaven, before the Zhou dynasty, it was the king of Zhou. After the Zhou dynasty, it was the emperor. All right. After the first emperor, the emperor would become known as the son of heaven. So the son of heaven somehow made that connection between heaven and earth. And the architecture of Mingtang is a building that allow him to maintain the ritual performance to justify that claim to become the son of heaven. And this is something that I'm going to illustrate in the architectural example here. But the specific form of Mingtang, this architecture had been long debated. Even in the Song dynasty, and even before the Song dynasty, during the Tang dynasty, scholars and officials were already debating what a Zhou dynasty Mingtang looked like. And there were illustrations in the Book of Rites that provide a different plan for Mingtang. That's just the diversity of that drawing, in different illustration, just to demonstrate the lost status of the Zhou dynasty Mingtang design. So people didn't really know for what a Mingtang looked like for a long time, right? So even during the Han dynasty, just a couple centuries after the fall of the Zhou house, the form of Mingtang were already in debate. So we didn't know that form for a long time. But we do know a Han dynasty Mingtang looked like. So if we still don't know a Zhou dynasty Mingtang, we know the Han dynasty Mingtang because archaeologists had discovered one in the city of Xi'an, which was called Chang'an in the Han dynasty, right? So there, a structure was excavated, which was believed to be a Mingtang structure of Han dynasty, even though this was built during the 1st century BCE at the very end of the Western Han dynasty. So the building is characteristic. You know, first, in its interlocking form of circle and earth, right? So the building itself has a circular ditch. Inside this circular ditch is a square courtyard. Inside this square courtyard is a circular platform. On top of this circular platform is a square building. And some scholars believe the square building in the middle, it has a circular pavilion instead of a pyramidal pavilion. So if that is the case, then we have 5 layers of circle inside square, inside circle, inside square, right? And a circle is a symbol of heaven, square is a symbol of earth. So in the very plan, we have the interlocking symbols of heaven and earth. And we know this Mingtang as a building is a building to legitimize the status of Son of Heaven. And the Son of Heaven is to make connection between heaven and earth, between gods and the human world, the human sphere. So that is the kind of very first formal declaration. Whoever built this, whoever is performing ritual ceremonies in this building is making connection between heaven and earth. And the entire design and operation of this building is to strengthen the idea, the connectivity of everything in the universe, and to make a claim that the Son of Heaven was the hub for all those connections to be made, to be accomplished. And that's a true function of this Mingtang. And so we are at the end of the class. So I think we will pick up next time and look into the detail of this building and see how architecture was used to justify the concept of Son of Heaven, to make a claim to power, all right? This is the ruler, he's doing this in this building, and he is the true Son of Heaven. This is basically the function of Mingtang. And thankfully, archaeologists recover something that is solid and concrete. And compare with those ancient documents, we can have a fairly good understanding about how this building is was being used during at least Han Dynasty, and it's probably continued from the earlier Zhou Dynasty as well. So let's call it a day today, and we will pick up from here on Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.